Banker Wars. Part 2. The Precipice of Nuclear Apocalypse. As global tensions rise to previously unheard-of heights, governments everywhere are preparing for a range of possible military confrontations. Many governments are preparing for extreme situations, such as those that might be compared to an end-of-the-world scenario. In reaction to these global uncertainties, how could there possibly be a crisis so severe that we would require a reset? Isn't that the end game? There's something brewing, whether it's planned, orchestrated, or just happenstance. People are able to see and feel it. According to scientists, high-ranking authorities, academics from universities, and prominent news organizations, a nuclear war would kill millions of people and trigger worldwide starvation. According to mainstream media, German authorities are creating bunker plans. Subway stations, underground parking garages, and basements, for instance, could be transformed into shelters. Have things gotten out of hand yet? Are you getting shivers down your spine? The link between banking systems and war history reveals that the manipulation of financial systems often precedes war, with central banks playing a central role. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 marked the establishment of a privately controlled banking entity that dictates monetary policies, leaving nations vulnerable to systemic debt cycles. This centralized financial model creates debt slaves, perpetuating inequality and fueling unrest. Before the Federal Reserve's creation, there was no historical precedent for global wars as we know them today. For example, nations like Libya under Gaddafi attempted to introduce a gold-backed currency to escape centralized control. The result was economic sabotage and military intervention, leaving the nation in ruin. Similarly, JFK's Greenback Initiative threatened private central banking interests, and his public and traumatic assassination remains a stark reminder of the lengths to which financial power can be preserved. Financial systems often create bubbles by expanding credit and then contract it by calling in loans, destabilizing economies. Such engineered chaos has repeatedly served as a precursor to war. When banks fail, the path to war seems inevitable, a fact highlighted by Pearl Harbor, a moment many believe was influenced by economic and geopolitical manipulation. Can U.S. debt be reset by nuclear war? Can it draw attention to the flaws in a system or conceal a poorly run, plundered nation? What is the ostrich effect? A cognitive bias known as the ostrich effect refers to people avoiding unpleasant facts or information, frequently in an effort to prevent psychological distress. The misconception that ostriches bury their heads in the sand to evade danger is the source of the name. I contend that it is a serious strategic error to ignore the facts that are being revealed to us. Furthermore, it's like passing the keys to your soul and the souls of the generations that happen to share your genealogical blueprint. Stay tuned. Watch the video to the end. Thermonuclear war and Russia's updated nuclear doctrine. What is a proxy war? A military battle in which a third party backs one or more combatants in an attempt to sway the outcome is known as a proxy war. Typically, the third party does not take part in direct combat. What is a hot war? An open military confrontation is a conflict involving weapons between states. The looming threat of thermonuclear war grows as Russia's new doctrine states any nation aiding its enemies with nuclear means will be treated as an aggressor. Western powers supplying long-range missiles like ATACMS and Storm Shadows to Ukraine intensify this risk, shifting from proxy wars to direct threats. Russia's Poseidon torpedoes, capable of causing radioactive tsunamis, signify how advanced nuclear technology could devastate the planet. The escalation of such capabilities underscores the fragility of global peace. Asymmetrical warfare and manufactured consent. Asymmetrical warfare, which employs unconventional strategies to counter traditional military power, has become a defining feature of modern conflicts. This includes cyber warfare, economic sanctions, and disinformation campaigns that destabilize adversaries without direct confrontation. A critical component of such strategies is manufactured consent, where narratives are crafted and repeated until they are accepted as truth. This tactic ensures public support for actions that benefit political and financial elites, even when they lead to chaos and destruction. By controlling information, governments and financial institutions can manipulate populations into supporting wars that align with their agendas. The global military-industrial complex. The global military-industrial complex thrives on continuous conflict. This vast network of defense contractors, governments, and financial elites profits from war by driving demand for advanced weaponry like long-range missiles. The complex creates an environment where peace is less profitable than sustained instability. This system ensures the perpetual promotion of chaos, feeding into a cycle where financial crises lead to war, which in turn fuels economic recovery for a select few while devastating nations and populations. Economic consequences of war. War often follows financial crises, providing a distraction or solution to instability. For example, the rise of BRICS and de-dollarization reflects global frustration with U.S. monetary control. Efforts to establish financial independence challenge the Federal Reserve's dominance, heightening the risk of global conflict. Is it possible that the United States is on the verge of a political and cultural shift that will fundamentally alter the global financial system? The imposition of private central banks, from the American Revolution to modern interventions, has consistently led to resistance and war. As financial elites face diminishing control, the likelihood of escalating conflicts, including thermonuclear war, grows. Preparedness for a nuclear future. A nuclear attack's devastating effects, fireball, shockwave, and radiation, demand individual preparedness. Essential items include battery-operated radios, to stay informed when communication systems fail. Iodine pills protect the thyroid from radiation exposure. Non-perishable food and water ensure survival during isolation. White clothing and sunglasses reduce exposure to thermal radiation. Sealing materials shield homes from radioactive fallout. These practical steps, though simple, can save lives in a nuclear crisis. Storm Shadows, ATAC-MS, and the Northern Group. The establishment of the new Northern Group represents a new axis of military collaboration aimed at countering Russian influence. With the UK and France deploying long-range missiles like Storm Shadows, the stakes of direct confrontation rise. Russia's response to these provocations could determine the course of future conflicts, highlighting the fragility of peace in today's geopolitical climate. Getting ready for the end of the world. Let's hope that the above statement is hyperbolic. A gruesome mess awaits if even a small portion of this is accurate. Observe what professionals have stated. Fallout is most dangerous in the first few hours after the detonation, when it is giving off the highest levels of radiation. While the deadly fallout from a nuclear explosion can vanish in a matter of minutes or a day, its repercussions can linger. Fallout takes time to return to ground level. For regions outside of the initial blast damage zones, this time is frequently more than 15 minutes. Is the U.S. close to war? As the tension between Russia and the United States and its NATO allies over the crisis in Ukraine intensifies, there is currently a lot of discussion of nuclear war. A study on U.S. readiness for potential simultaneous wars, fortifying defensive alliances, an immediate expansion of conventional troops, and much more was just released by the Strategic Posture Commission, a bipartisan council appointed by Congress. There has been a reaction to the present administration's decision to permit Ukraine to launch missiles supplied by the United States deep within Russia. Concerning is the so-called spiral of escalation. Is it radical to say that confrontation between nuclear-capable countries isn't a good thing? Peace through strength. It is important to monitor whether de-escalation is imminent. How easily life can change at the blink of an eye. Conclusion. The connection between financial manipulation, war, and escalating nuclear threats reveals a dangerous cycle. The Federal Reserve Act and centralized banking systems fuel global instability, enabling conflicts for profit while devastating nations. The specter of thermonuclear war demands both preparedness and a critical examination of these systemic causes. Breaking this destructive cycle is essential to secure a future free from the tragic repetition of history. With estimates that up to 75% of the population could perish from radiation in the states most impacted, a terrifying Cold War-era map has emerged that presents a dire picture of the United States following nuclear war. In Luke 21:11, there will be great earthquakes, and in one place after another food shortages and pestilences, and there will be fearful sights. Matthew 24:8, these are the beginnings of pangs of distress. Even though hindsight is 20/20, maybe it's time to wake up. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Disclaimer: this video is for informational purposes only. I encourage you to do your own research. If there are 3 sides to every story, seek your own understanding, so the world feels less like a maze and more like a map that makes sense to you. Knowledge doesn't just inform, it transforms. This is a journey, not a conclusion.